I'm here at Long Bay on Auckland's North Shore, which is about a 20-minute drive from where I live. This is one of my favourite beaches because it's part of a regional park and has some nice cliffs, and out over the water you can see some of the islands in the Hauraki Gulf. I'll show you in a second when we get there. So when I arrive and get past this grassy bit, I kick off my shoes and then it gets very windy. And once I walk through this windbreak, I suddenly feel the wind in my face and I get this stunning view that starts to open up, and I can kind of see what sort of mood the beach is in today. And today it's very windy and a bit choppy, and the tide's right out, and it's looking pretty nice, pretty windswept and interesting. So I like to come here for a walk or a swim when I need to clear my head or let go of something that's been weighing me down. There's something about the ocean that helps me reset my perspective. No matter what I'm doing, the ocean's expanse is always here. The waves keep rolling in and out. It makes me and my concerns feel small and insignificant in a good way. So I find myself doing a big sigh as I let go of whatever it was I was holding on to. Sometimes I can tell how much I've been holding on to by how many layers of that sigh I need to get through before I get to the layer where I feel most like myself. It's often more than I realize. And it reminds me of that saying, if you don't have time to take a 5-minute walk, you probably need to take a 30-minute walk. So the point is, at Long Bay, I know I can be my shoes off self. It makes me think, if this is where I feel most like myself, then why can't I be my shoes off self in other places? Well, that's a big question. But I think broadly, the answer is because in other places, I'm wearing my social armour. That might be because I'm trying to show up in the world in a certain way, or it might be because I need to be a certain kind of person right now to support my friends or family. Or it might just be because I'm in situations where I have to navigate a lot of bullshit among people whose motives I don't really trust. And I'm keeping up my guard so I stay safe. It might even be that I've experienced that my shoes off self is not okay or not enough for other people. So I spend my time masking when I'm around them to be what they need, even if it's at my own expense. I think we Grokkists in particular do a lot of masking. We might ask too many questions or move too fast for others to follow our thinking, or we might see things a little too clearly when in truth most people can only handle a little bit of clear thinking at any given moment. Maybe we do a lot of people pleasing so that they never find out how weird we really are. Whatever it is, the longer we spend wearing our social armour instead of being our shoes off selves, the more disconnected we become from ourselves. And we might not even notice that we're paying a disconnection tax the whole time. So me personally, I know that my shoes off self is my best self. It's when I have my best ideas, make my best decisions, and I'm able to summon my greatest generosity of spirit towards others. It's when I remember, how to love the world, and somebody has to, right? So I thought about this a lot during the pandemic, and like many people, I decided I was tired of wearing my social armour and paying the disconnection tax in too many parts of my life. So I want to be my shoes off self as much as possible, and I only really want to spend time around people I find energizing. So for me, I find it, bit of water there. For me, I find it energizing when I'm around other Grokkists. And when I meet other Grokkists, I recognize the same sense of isolation and disconnection from self that I've experienced for most of my life. So I feel called to create a Grokkist Network, a kind of third space for Grokkists to be our shoes off selves together, whatever that means. As one of my guests on the podcast puts it, the goal is to find mirrors in each other so that we can become more accurate reflections of ourselves. So I'm nervous about doing this, right? I'm someone who definitely has a social battery, and while I love interacting with the people I connect with, sometimes I also just disappear completely for weeks, maybe sometimes months, when I just don't feel like talking to anyone. That doesn't mean I've lost interest or I don't care about those connections. It's just a rhythm that I have and I can't predict, and I've given up pretending to try to understand. So I mention this because when it comes to building community, we tend to gauge success by engagement because it's something we think we can measure. If we can see people constantly posting or chattering, then we think, oh, this community is alive, even if a lot of that might just be noise. But for me to be my shoes off self, I want to be able to step away sometimes and not feel bad about that. I want to feel missed when I'm not around, for sure, but I don't want to feel pressured to contribute more than I have to give at any given moment. And if I do feel pressured in that way, I'm probably going to feel misunderstood and not seen, and then I'm probably going to quietly disengage. Well, maybe you're like me, maybe you have your own thing going on. David, our community manager, he loves the buzz of constant interaction. That's why he's the community manager. The point is, in the Grokkist Network, you should feel free and encouraged to be your shoes off self, whatever that means for you, and let us know what that is for you. Otherwise, what's the point, right? I hope this is the place where you'll make the kinds of friends who you can not just speak to for ages, but then pick up right where you left off. And the kind of space that makes you feel relieved to come back to. Where, like Long Bay, you can kick your shoes off, step on the sand, see what kind of mood the place is in today and go, it's good to be back. So, I've been talking for a while. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my walk, but let me know your favorite ways to reconnect with yourself and what it means for you to be your shoes off self. Thanks.